After a long period of testing, over 900 drivers have entered Season 16 of the AOR F1 Hype League, and today you'll be witnessing F4 from the PlayStation 4. My name is Luke Etheridge, aka Baba O'Reilly 3, and I will be taking you through today's action from Albert Park for the first round, the Australian Grand Prix. The championship format is very similar to that of this year's real-life F1 2018 championship. There'll be a total of 21 races starting tonight and ending at the end of March with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix from the Yas Marina circuit. Now, from those not very familiar with the AOR League, the following rules take place. No assists are allowed at all in the top leagues. That includes this F4 league. So anti-lock brakes, traction control, the racing line, all banned. It's purely based on the driver's talent of controlling the throttle and the brakes. The format for the races is identical for all of them. There will be an 18-minute qualifying session followed by a 50% race distance. So for today, that will be 29 laps. There's a total of 20 drivers entered in the league, and you will be able to see the names of some of them on screen now. A wide variety of nationalities, 3 different continents represented in tonight's race, representing all 10 teams across the Formula 1 grid. If you wish to get in contact, it is easy. Just comment on the stream, or any tweets would be welcome. Hashtag AOR Hype. You can either tweet the official Apex Online Racing account at Apex on Racing, or you can tweet myself at Luke Etheridge 95, and I will be willing to answer any questions you might have regarding the series or any real life racing action. Of course, it was a big day for motor racing today with the Russian Grand Prix. Slightly controversial. Hopefully there'll be no team orders this early in the AOR Championships, and also it was the finale of the BTCC today at Brands Hatch. Less rubbing expected tonight. Of course, F1 cars nowhere near as capable of coping with the same amount of rubbing as those in touring cars. So going through some of the drivers that are racing tonight, we have a wide variety of experience. Quite a few new drivers who have never raced in any of the AOR leagues before, some who are returning to AOR after a period away, and some who are racing in various different leagues last season. For example, in the Mercedes tonight, there are 2 drivers who have been promoted from Formula 5 last season. Tough to handle, the Lebanese driver, 4th last season in Formula 1. And we're having a few streaming issues at the moment. I'm being invited to a new lobby. Before the race joined, there was a worry that one of the drivers would not be able to join, but hopefully everything should be okay now. Back to, as I said, tough to handle from Lebanon, racing in the Mercedes, and Hipari Late, another driver who raced in Formula 5 last season. He's also in the Mercedes. He got 2 wins last season, and we're hoping to be improving on that. One of the drivers that is racing tonight actually came all the way from Formula 2 last season. The 007 professional, the American, who was driving for Ferrari, didn't go to plan last year for the Ferrari driver. He only finished 15th in the championship, the best finish of 8th in the races. He'll be hoping to improve on that. One of the big people to watch today, though, could be the Red Bull driver, Combi Komeri, the German. Season 15, he won the Formula 4 championship, taking 5 wins. Still in this league today, he will be hoping for a much better performance than he had at the start of last season. He generally seems to get better as the season goes on, and we'll be hoping to carry on that form from the end of last year. He was dominant, 6 podiums out of the last 7 races in the season 15, which was only a 15-race season as well. Who knows what a longer season could have. It's very likely that a lot of drivers will miss a few races. We do have breaks for the real-life Formula 1 action coming up in a few weeks from America and Mexico, and to give everyone a chance to have a Christmas holiday and play any new games they might get. We can't expect these guys to constantly be racing on the Formula One game, although practice does make perfect. I'd like to thank the sponsors, of course, of AOR for letting tonight happen. Elgato Gaming, especially, who are bringing you all the action from the top tiers and those lower down. Also in association with GT Omega and Thrustmaster. There's been quite an interesting race in Albert Park the last few years in the real world of Formula One. Sebastian Vettel has won both of these races, but it's been strategy that has been the key factor in both of these races. Pit stops, ever so important now in Formula One with the high degradation tyres that Pirelli bring to each and every race. The soft tyres will be the main race tyre today for the Formula One race, alongside the super softs, which you could possibly see in most of the drivers using qualifying, you'd expect, to give themselves a decent one. But there was also the ultra soft tyre, the second softest tyre that will be available to the drivers all season long, only bettered by the Hypersoft, which is not known for being a race tyre, as we've seen today at the Russian Grand Prix. So a bit more about the Melbourne circuit. 16 turns, quite a challenging street circuit, not very forgiving, not like most modern circuits where there's big, wide tarmac runoff areas. It's grass, gravel, and then concrete at the edge of a lot of these corners. 3 DRS zones moving from the main straight into turn 1. And straight after turn 2, there was another DRS zone into turn 3, a corner which has seen quite a few incidents over the years. Martin Brundle, in the first year of Formula One, 1996, was involved in a huge crash here with David Coulthard. Many were surprised that he walked out okay and into the spare car. A feature from Formula One from times gone by. Other big accidents in there. Ralf Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve in 2001 had a massive crash, and also Fernando Alonso and Esteban Gutierrez. Probably one of the things Alonso is going to be remembered most for his McLaren career, rather than the team radio messages, which are brilliant to see, is the massive accident he had here, flipping through the air quite violently. Like, it wasn't even noticed by the spectators what was going on. Seems to be still a few issues with drivers being able to join the lobby at the moment. We'll try and find out for you guys what the situation is and get back to you as quickly as possible. Of course, your comments are welcome tonight. Who do you think is going to have the best start to the season? Have you got any techniques that you particularly like to use around this circuit? I know a lot of people try taking different lines to what the game recommends throughout its track learning mode that you can undertake during the career settings. Third time lucky, hopefully. For some of the drivers still having problems getting into the lobby, just adds to the tension. It's been a long process for all these drivers, going through the 3 time trials throughout the Belgian, Austrian and Canadian circuits before the many evaluation races to eventually get placed in this league. We're expecting some quick lap times tonight. The lap record for this track, incidentally, was from this season. Lewis Hamilton did a 1 minute 21.1. Not expecting that to be beat in the race, but qualifying 1 minute 19.5. Anything around that region will be very tough to beat and could quite possibly give you pole position for this race. No points for pole position, of course. It is all about the race. The same point scoring system as is used in Formula One. 25 for the winner. That 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 point for 10th place. And that 1 point could be all important at the end of the season. In fact, in reality, there's been a Formula One championship won by less than 1 point. Niki Lauda's final world title was won by just half a point over his teammate Alain Prost in 1984 with McLaren. Looks like some of the drivers are beginning to get ready up now, so hopefully it will not be too long before the action is beginning. 18-minute qualifying session, very simple, fastest car on pole position. No eliminations to worry about. Just what can these drivers do in a short period of time? If you make a mistake, it's not that long to get back to the pits, pull on some new tyres and get back out again. After this race, next week we will be racing in the Bahrain, another fairly new track, and that will be followed by China before the first of our breaks, as mentioned earlier, for the real-life American and Mexican Grand Prix, and the session will be starting any second now. The waiting is over. So as mentioned earlier, fastest lap, 18 minutes. Who will be able to do the best? So I mentioned earlier some of the drivers we've got, quite a varied spectrum from across AOR. We actually have 6 new drivers tonight. Slimbo Dude in the Force India, both Williams, very Scandinavian feel in the Williams tonight with John Palainen from Finland and Axeri from Norway. McLaren, another team with 2 brand new drivers, Randy Thompson and Takilo, and Joaquin Jordi 44 in the Haas, the American, sticking loyal to his home team. If you want to see a fast lap of this track, make sure to check out the AOR channel. Jess Games, who is one of the commentators over on the F2 League on the Xbox, has commentated on Marcel Kiefler's fast lap throughout the season. Good luck to him in his F1 esports, and it looks like Randy Thompson heading out onto track. Let's see what he can do. Quite a few drivers will be wanting to get out early, make sure they don't get stuck in any traffic. Not a massive problem on this circuit, although it is a street circuit. There is still some opportunities for overtaking, especially with the free DRS zones. DRS is now limited, of course, in qualifying to just during the DRS zones, unlike when it was first introduced, where it could be used wherever the driver felt comfortable. Could lead to some quite spectacular accidents. And Thompson pushing hard there already on the outlap, locking up. Wants to get a feel for the car as early as possible, make sure the brakes are nice and warmed up for the fast lap. Formula One games have, of course, progressed massively over the years. Now it is just nearly as complicated as being an actual race driver. Got to pay attention to the fuel mix, tyre temperatures, tyre conditions, and the ERS settings. ERS introduced in 2014 in its current format. Of course, KERS was around since 2009 but was rarely used, but is a major part of these hybrid engines now. Over 160 brake horsepower comes from these electric power units. Just to give you a clue of how big that is, my 10-year-old Ford Fiesta, that is basically 2 Ford Fiestas in the electrical energy alone. Yellow flags in sector 3 there, drivers pushing, and we'll follow Frandy around on this lap. Comes out of turn 2 cleanly, leaving quite a lot of margin there, perhaps making sure to just get a banker lap in to start off with. On board now. revving as high as possible, not worried of course about saving the engine during this qualifying session. Oh, very wide there. Might be worth aborting the lap even after this. The dive margins on this track, quite a lot of other tracks you get away with that. There'd be AstroTurf there. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. We move on to the 2 Ferrari, Linus Stern, maybe trying a slipstreaming tactic similar to what Vettel and Raikkonen used during this Monza Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago, although didn't quite end up with the result that Ferrari perhaps would have wanted. Championships have gone downhill for the Italian team since then. Maybe Professional and Vicstar may be able to give some pride back in Maranello. Of course, comments welcome on YouTube and Twitter as well. Hashtag AOR hype to anyone who wants to get in touch. Predictions for this season? See how people can do. Vicstar sets the first lap time 1:21.467. Thompson Pickard at the end of his lap, quite wise perhaps after his mistake. You know, the little ping of the DRS telling the drivers to open up the flap on the back of the rear wing to reduce the drag reduction system. Pretty self-explanatory there. Will be bigger for next season as part of the new regulations to try and allow closer following, as mentioned on our stream. Quite a large gap required here to avoid the dirty air. Downforce required quite high due to the faster corners and not really many straights. So higher downforce does lead to quite a lot more dirty air. It makes it harder to follow, although I'm sure the drivers here aren't interested in following for too long. Follow Professional to the end of the lap, see what he can do. Oh, close there. Pushing to the edge of the track. David Coulthard, one of the many drivers to lose it late on here. Good exit through there. Clips the apex of turn 16 on the DRS instantly. And Professional 6th at the moment, 1:22.0. Over a second behind Slim Moder, doing very well on his AOR debut. Provisional pole position so far. The only driver in the 1:20s after 5 minutes of the session. See the gaps there now. Very close in the second place between John Polainen and Nezoran. John Polainen, another new driver. Where have these people been hiding over the years? Well, tough to handle now, the Lebanese driver. Won a race last year in Formula 5 driving the Mercedes. Of course, all the online race cars are given the performance of the Mercedes to make it an equal playing field. But all the drivers did have a choice of what cars they wanted. Flat through there, quite a difficult section to get right as it comes into the final DRS zone. Touch wide there, but doesn't seem to have affected him too much. Quite a short straight, so quite lucky there. Changing to third gear early there to try and avoid wheel spin. Comes across the line and takes pole position, 15 hundredths of a second. In his first lap on the ultra soft tyres. Still quite a lot of the field yet to set a competitive lap time. We see yellow flags in sector 1. Seems to have cleared quite a few mistakes as drivers try and push the limit during the qualifying section. sound of the 1.6 litre V6 engines are criticised in quite a lot of fields compared to the old days, but as many of the engineers will tell you, the lack of noise just shows how well engineered these modern F1 cars, and especially the engines, are. You are very unlikely to find a more efficient and powerful petrol engine out there at the moment. Just 10 minutes to go now during the qualifying session. Tough to handle in provisional pole position. Slimbo Dude just behind, and in quite a gap to Frandy Thompson in third position. Slimbo, fresh tyres. Let's see what he can do. Can he find any more time when compared to the driver in front? I mean, 1500's hardly anything. It's could be a slight lock-up into any of these corners. The drivers do seem playing quite a hard skill to handle. And he's going faster at the moment, nearly 2 tenths up. Yellow flag at the edge of sector 2. That should be cleared by the time he gets round there. Hard braking early on the throttle. One of the most difficult corners on the track coming up now. So easy to steal too much speed on the way into the first apex and lose all momentum down the back straight, but he seems to have done quite well there. Final few corners now. Slimbo Dude aiming for pole position here, and that is looking very comfortable. Yes, 120.1, by far the fastest time we've seen so far. 6 tenths the gap back to Tough to Handle. He'll be hoping he can keep this form into the race. Axeri and Schnitzel seem to have the super soft tyres fitted, as does Advance Apple. You've got to say it's probably not going to be the right tactic now. Ultrasoft giving much more grip, which is what you want during these qualifying sessions. Not bothered about how long the tyre lasts at all. Vic Star on his outlap in the Ferrari. The two Ferraris 10th and 11th at the moment, despite a big gap between them, 6 tenths of a second. It's very close actually between 5th and 9th at the moment. Less than 2 tenths separating all them cars. Seems to be warming up as Vic Star at the moment, judging by his time. Mild lock up into turn 3 doesn't seem to affect him. They've still made the apex. Of course, if any of the drivers do seem to be struggling in their league or doing exceptionally well, there is an opportunity to be moved after 5 races of the season, so that will occur after the Spanish Grand Prix, which will take place in November. Definitely does not seen as quick as the Force Indians. Hopefully he'll be able to improve. A quarter of a second would make a huge difference now for Victor. Oh, he's got more than that. 1:20.7. 3/4 of a second up on his best. And that is enough to slot him into third position. You can see the confidence growing on all these drivers as they get used to, obviously, the lobby with the connection conditions. Seems to be running smoothly for now. Get used to the cars driving around the track in these current weather conditions. Overcast at the moment. Could we see a chance of rain to spice up the action throughout the qualifying session, or perhaps the race? Australia known for its inclement weather on this coast. Jenson Button took advantage of that in 2010 with a superb strategy, stopping on dry tyres quite early on when many others thought it was still too risky. He did run wide, but he did well enough in the end to take a win in what was only his second race for McLaren. Running through the order now with just over 4 minutes to go. All drivers will be looking to get ready for their final lap times. Slimbo Dude still comfortably pole position. 1:20.1. John Palainen second position. Vic Stafford, tough to handle, fourth at the moment, and Combi rounding out the top 5. Most drivers now pitting, of course, getting ready for that final lap. Traffic could be a problem on this. Making sure you've got a gap, making sure to watch out when you're on your out lap. For the drivers behind you, don't want to be being penalised at this early stage of the season. On board with Axera at the moment, one of the few drivers. Oh, didn't seem to be a fast lap anyway. There's 11 seconds down. Don't want to get any dirt on your tyres by doing that. Still running around on the super soft tyres, probably at least a second slower than the softer compound. Sorry, he's pulled over to the side, just letting a faster car through. This game does seem quite eager to give yellow flags for pulling over. Could be something to watch during the race as X-Area comes into the pits. Well, he bolts on the super softs for one final run, quite late on the basis of the pit lane. That is another thing drivers will have to watch out for during the race. No assists means no slowing down for the pit lane. If you misjudge it, you will be penalised quite severely, easily ruin a race. So do you take the chance of leaving it as late as possible to brake, or perhaps laying off the throttle a bit earlier, making sure you make it? What would be your tactic? Make sure to get in touch using the YouTube channel or Twitter, hashtag AOR Hype. Onward now with Özgür Bayrak, Turkish driver in the Renault. Renault hoping, of course, for success next season with Daniel Ricciardo signing for the team. Bayrak was in Formula 4 last season, managed to get 3 podiums, but couldn't quite get a win as he finished in the top 10 in the championship. But we're hoping to go one better this season. Warming the tyres up. Don't want to have any embarrassing incidents for Romain Grosjean this season at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which will be the 4th race of the season. And a big crash, and tough to handle, closing up now on Slimbo Dude. He's got to within 0.2 of a second. Not going to see many more laps now. Could be a final lap for quite a lot of these drivers. Putting the hot lap as mode, wants to get everything he can possible out of the car as we go on board now for this lap. Teammate up in 4th place, 2 seconds ahead of Bayrak. Great timing on the DRS there be vital to get towards the end of this session. Down into turn 3, seems smooth. Tactic you might see a lot during the race, changing gears early to try and save the tyres. 1 and 2 stops the expected strategies. 1 stop called theoretically quicker, but will involve a lot more tyre management from the drivers. One of the features of Formula 1, and do you guys think it should be part of the sport? Should Formula 1 as a pinnacle of motorsport be about pushing as flat out for as long as possible, or does tyre management need to be a part of it? We're in a more environmentally friendly role now. Drivers going through their final laps. Top guys won't be able to improve. The top 4 are all finished their laps or are in the pit lane. Mehmet coming around the final corner now. Used all his deployments and he comes across the line up to 7th place. Big improvement there, 2 seconds. Half a second off the leader. With 7 cars being separated by such a small gap, it could be a very interesting race ahead. Xavier now, one of the last. Oh, he's gone very wide there. Bit too much throttle perhaps. It comes across the final corner. Is that going to cost him? Oh, just slower than his previous best time, but only stays in 14th position. That is the end of the first qualifying for the Hype F4 League and AOR Season 16. And a great performance by Slim Buttle there to take his first pole position in his first ever race in the AOR Racing League. Tough to handle, 2nd position. Sandy Thompson 3rd, with Jean Palainen and All Aaron rounding out the top 5. Conby Cormie, the reigning champion for this league, could only manage 9th position. Further down the order, you see the Cam Keon, the slowest of all the drivers to set a time. Hipari Light, Joe Breezy, Advanced Apple and Ken Ariada elected not to set time during that qualifying session. We build up to the race, 29 laps, remember, around the Albert Park circuit, one of the oldest circuits now on the calendar, been around since 1996, and has seen many exciting races over the years. Jack Villeneuve's first was the first race. Causeway finished 2nd. We saw the final win of David Coulthard, the birth of Braun GP from the ashes of Honda. And what will today have in store? If you've got any predictions, make sure to get in touch with us, or any questions about this league or any other real motorsport questions you may have. Your opinions perhaps on today's Russian Grand Prix, with Valtteri Bottas being forced to move over for Lewis Hamilton. Is that championship over? Is there anything Sebastian Vettel can do now? 2 race wins behind. All the drivers will now be getting ready to start the race. Manual starts, of course, so jump starts possible as well, having to use the clutch, getting the peak rev point to ensure the best possible getaway. Perhaps one of the problems with using a pad is all the various complications now involved in this new Formula One era, with the ERS systems constantly adjusting the multifunction display, which I personally believe is one of the best features on this game, how it gives you pretty much full control over all the elements of the car that the real Formula One drivers are able to use, whether that be the ERS system, fuel mixers, strategy, or most fun telling your race engineer Jeff to shut up. If any of my viewers have not done that yet, make sure to do it and thank me when you get the bronze trophy. Get ready, lights coming on, and we're racing. No, apologies. Formation lap first, of course. Getting. No apologies, we do seem to be racing here. Still seems to be a few connection issues going on here. My apologies. There's of course a problem in the lead up to qualifying, since quite a few drivers have left the session. Gotta love teething problems. Yes, most of the drivers have left the session, because if 5 drivers lead, it will be aborted. It's be counted as a mass disconnection. Still a few drivers seem unaware of this fact, however. Again, my apologies for the connection issues that seems to be taking place at the moment. There was quite a long gap at the start. We are ready now. And racing. Good start by top 2 handles. Takes the lead going into the first corner. 2 Reynolds running third and fourth. And oh! Swimbo Dude takes back the lead. So we're heading on the run down to turn 3. Already a few DNFs in the background. Well, Vic starts heading backwards. Nightmare start for the 2 Ferraris. Professional out of the race already, and Vic Star seems to be heading backwards. He's retired from the session. 4 drivers out already at the start of this race. But down up at the front of the field, Swimbo Dude still holding a narrow lead over tough to handle. Halfway through the first lap, All in third, Mehmet fourth, and Takilo fifth, as we stand at the moment. Running so close behind, not really an overtaking opportunity. Everyone seems to have made it through quite clearly. Clear connection issues here, you can see drivers lagging through each other, and the race has been stopped, I believe. Race stopped due to these connection issues. Again, my apologies. Now, as we are less than 50% of the way through the race, it is my belief that the race will be restarted. It's just been confirmed by Vicstar that the session did freeze on quite a lot of the drivers. There are few teething problems tonight, with it being the first race of the series, and connecting drivers from across the globe. The new lobby is being made. Hopefully we will be able to get this race to you shortly. Think of it as an aborted start. A bit like happens quite often in Formula One. One of the ones I always remember is Giancarlo Fisichella. Twice in different years at the Malaysian Grand Prix lined up on the wrong side of the grid. Luckily that's not a problem our drivers will have to face during this series. It must be incredibly frustrating, of course, for the drivers, getting themselves all hyped up, if you pardon the pun, for tonight's action, with many other races going across multiple platforms as well. There has already been the PS4 Tier 1 race, which took place earlier on today. There is currently the PC Tier 1 race taking place at the moment, along with all lower tier races, and at 9 PM tonight, so in 15 minutes, the final Tier 1 race on the Xbox One will be taking place, although it would be really appreciated by myself if you stick with us and see how Tier 4 goes on tonight. It's an incredibly close qualifying session. The drivers seem very well matched. Most of the drivers now seem to be back in the lobby and getting ready to race. Will Slimbo Dude be able to keep up his form from qualifying? It was expected for some of the drivers to be able to reach the 1 minute 19s, although that was not quite the case this time around. 1 minute 20.1 proving fast enough, as mentioned earlier. The lap record for the race, Lewis Hamilton, a 1:21.1, taking place this year, of course, for 2018 cars, proving to be the fastest ever seen, with the grippy, slick tyres. There's huge power now coming out from these hybrid engines, despite the fact they are limited to only 3 of the internal combustion unit a season and 2 of some of the other units, such as the electronics that go behind the engine. Something that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago, an era where teams would regularly use 2 or 3 engines per race, per car, just to get the maximum performance available. these hybrid engines a lot more complicated, a lot more expensive, and that is one of the controversial issues. We've already seen Force India incredibly close to folding this season, with only 4 engine manufacturers in the sport at the moment. Do you think there's anything Formula One could do to try and get more interest? Aston Martin are in partnership with Red Bull Racing, but I've already said if the current engine regulations stay as they are unlikely to join the series as a engine manufacturer. Porsche were involved in talks, the Volkswagen Group aiming to recover from the diesel scandal, and has pulled out of most other motorsports recently, such as the WEC and the WRC. Talking of rallying, Dirt 2 was announced this week, and with the many rallycross features, you can guarantee that there will be some AOR leagues on that game in the near future. 20 seconds to go then for the race, and fingers crossed. I'm sure they've all enjoyed their practice starts, and hopefully this will be the final time for tonight. 29 laps of the Albert Park circuit set in Melbourne. I'm sure quite a few drivers will be hoping for a lot sunnier weather than was found in the other lobby. So trying to control 900 plus horsepower is hard enough. Trying to do it in the wet will be a very difficult task indeed. 2 types of rain tyres involved in Formula One, of course. The intermediates, designed more for running water when it's not too wet, and the full wet tyres, only very suitable for use in torrential conditions where standing water is prevalent. Just waiting for Pedro 99 now. All drivers are ready, and the race should be starting any minute now. View of the pit lane, pit stops, ever so important in Formula One. Just a 60km/h limit along the pit lane in Melbourne due to its narrowness. So that is what makes the one stop so preferable. Here, over the 2 stop, is the time spent in the pit lane. However, tyre management, you will have to be extra careful in these early laps. In fact, of course, throughout, to ensure you reduce wheel spin to a minimum. You may have heard me mentioning the track learning program that you can get during the career mode. Tyre management is another one of the practice programs featured throughout this game, as well as a fuel management, ARS management, as well as and qualifying and race strategy. For any of you who do take part in career, you want to make sure you check out all those programs. Will enable you to develop the car to the highest possible level. We are away now on the formation lap. Drivers warming up the tyres, of course, no overtaking allowed. So get ready to line up on the grid. You want to be careful, of course, on the formation lap. Warming up brakes and tyres is important. But 12 years ago, Juan Pablo Montoya spun in what turned out to be his last Australian Grand Prix on the way out of the final corner, and you don't want to brake too hard, cause any lockups and unnecessary tyre wear throughout the start of the race. There have already been a couple of disqualifications from the session, hopefully not a repeat of the connection issues that seem to have plagued the lobby since the start of the night. Qualifying, of course, started late due to problems with a few drivers entering the lobby, and the last race was aborted early on. Coming round to the final few corners now. Slimbo bunching up the pack. Doesn't want to give too long for the cars. Too big of gaps to the cars, of course. Engines can overheat, and that is a feature of this game. Overheating engines will reduce your performance. see the two cars that have been disqualified still stuck on the grid there. All the drivers will of course be able to ghost through them as the front few line up. Who will win the battle into the first corner this time? It was very close between Slimbo and Tough to Handle at the first running. All the cars lined up. Lights coming on. 3, 4, 5. And we are away. Everyone seems to have got away cleanly this time. Slimbo coming across, covering the inside line. And Tough to Handle hanging on. Oh, no contact was avoided there. That's given Slimbo a decent lead as he comes down the straight for the first time. Pulling away already. Battle in the background between the two Renaults. Oh, there's quite a lot of cars gone into the gravel trap there. Contact between the two Renaults. Tough to Handle is off. The Mercedes was in second place, battling with Strandy Thompson and the two Renaults, and there was contact there. We saw the aftermath with quite a few cars entering the gravel trap, but Slimbo will not care, and there's been a retirement already. Ken Oleander out after one lap. So as we start, Slimbo has a 2-second lead already, ensuring that he's getting out of DRS range. DRS will only be available after 2 laps to the car. Any car that is within 1 second of the car in front. Doesn't matter if you're lapping that car either. As we approach the end of the final lap, Slimbo seems to have a comfortable lead. And Randy Thompson in second place. 2 Renaults of Oscar Bayrak and RLN in third and fourth place. And Vic Star currently rounding out the top 5. Now go on board so shortly with Conde, last season's champion. We're hoping to repeat that form. Oh, RLN running very wide there on the exit of turn 3. Quite difficult to get a run on your car in front during these parts. The red flashing light, which you will see come up on many cars, indicates that they are harvesting ERS energy. Each car is allowed to deploy a certain amount of ERS throughout the lap and harvest that throughout the braking zones and when off throttle. Quite a scrappy start it seems at the moment between the two. Slimbo pulling away, still 2.5 seconds out in front. Vicstar goes for a move, rounding outside, not going to work there, but he's got a much better exit. He comes down the straight and eases into 4th position. Oh, Evan tried to hold on. Maybe discretion would have been the better part of Valor there. It's cost him quite a few places, down to 7th now for the Renault driver. Oh! There could be words said at the end of the race there. RLN with a very light move on Nezza, and both drivers locked up. And that's cost Nezza and Dia down to 9th place at the moment as Professional drives around the outside, bit of a cover as well, to 8th place. As we head down towards the back of the field, you can see quite a big gap now between Cam Came On and Tough to Handle. Very likely that then they had to pick early on in the race both Mercedes off the pace. Who knows, they may be going for a much different strategy. Camber soft tyres though last 28 laps, which is what they are requiring them to do. All drivers at the start of the front of the field must use the tyres which they qualified on, the Ultra Soft, which is the worst race tyre, it must be said. So I expect very early pit stops. We saw great demonstration of this in Sochi today with Max Verstappen, who started on the soft, scraping up to 5th after the first few laps. Although Artem Markov in Formula 2 went much better. It took the lead from 18th on the grid by starting on a harder set of tyres. some close battles throughout the field. On board now with Pedro as he runs wide. There's Advanced Apple behind him, who will be in DRS zone and sweeps down the inside. One of the interesting facts about this track, of course, is the driver who's behind with the DRS activation point still gets at the end of the lap, still has DRS down this second straight. Ooh, Pedro losing the rear there in the slipstream of Advanced Apple. In the lead still, Slimbo 3 seconds ahead, well out of DRS zone. Randy Thompson second and Mehmet in third. Oh, Nezeran quite slow and that's given. Pedro a run on Professional around the outside. Not usually a passing place that. We can't really pass up an opportunity like that. 10th place in the points. Nezeran dropping back quite a lot further. May have been a incident that we have missed on camera. Oh, and up front, Randy Thompson past Mehmet. There's been a mistake by Mehmet. There was a small gap between the two, but it's not usually a passing place at the end of sector 3. Usually just setting up to a pass down the straight. DRS activated. Does not look close enough. Melbourne, not one of the tracks where DRS is as effective. We saw the difference it can have at Spa in Italy with a much longer straight, but it's very close. This is where that second zone could prove vital. Randy sending him round the outside. And Mesmat, has he hung on? Has he hung on there? He has for now. Second position. Of course, all this battling. Oh, no. Randy cleverly cutting back. Ooh, you can see a skid there from Mehmet, and that will give Vicstar the chance to sweep through perhaps later on in the lap. Slimbo, we are 5 seconds of lead after just 4.5 laps. He must be loving his first experience of AOR racing. Professional going for a move on Pedro. I said earlier that wasn't really a passing place, and you can see there, unless you've got a much better run on the car in front, it's probably better to save yourself from this second DRS activation point and the final DRS zone. Wide open for this battle for the final point. Is there anything Professional can do through there? Too far behind. I think, as you saw from Mehmet earlier, although he has dropped to 4th now, the tactic could be to use this first DRS zone here to just get close as the Williams following the two newbies of Axeri and Jompalainen. 4-way battle now for the final point. Quite difficult for the Williams to do anything here, of course, because Professional will have the DRS from Pedro. Kind of a cork in the bottle at the moment. And there has been a pit stop for Nezeran at the moment. Oh, Axeri very close there to the back. And no yellow flags. And Cam came on, struggled in qualifying. As you can see, he still seems to be having a few problems. Nezeran has come out on the super soft tyre. The Williams driver, the Haas, apologies, seems to suggest a 2-stop strategy. Can't see the super softs lasting that long throughout the race. And as we head towards the front of the field for a battle between Vicstar and Randy Thompson, Vic hanging on there to take second place. That's going to make Randy quite vulnerable, you feel, to the Renault. Your DRS could be used in defence here rather than attack. And these three battling just allows Slimbo to pull an advantage. He's going to need about 25 seconds at least, you feel, for a pit stop, so something he's unlikely to get. As Mehmet looks to have another go on the McLaren. The last time we saw these two battling, it was for second. Now it's for the final podium position. Vic seems quite comfortable. Mehmet's got a better chance now as he has the inside line going into turn 3. Randy not giving up the position, but is he going to have much choice? No. Mehmet shuts the door, and that is now 3rd place for the Turkish driver in the Renault. Your order on lap 7 at the moment. Slimbo in the lead, 5.8 seconds now ahead of Vicstar. who's closely followed by Mehmet and Randy Thompson. They've begun to pull a bit of a gap over Combi, who's 5th in the Red Bull. Could be interesting to see how some of the early pictures of the Mercedes, tough to handle, and Hifari do on their soft tyres. Soft already up to 16th position. Will be good to see if he can hold these tyres on for the end of the race. Does seem to be going quite quickly at the moment. So the wheel spin there beginning to set in. These tyres will be getting very, very worn very quickly. A yellow flag in sector 3. Schnitzel dropping down the order, can only assume that was his mistake. Advanced Apples had a decent start to the race, of course. He was quite far back in qualifying. Was battling for the points as we have Combi coming in. The Red Bull in the pits, the reigning champion, putting on the super soft tyres. Will that be a pattern throughout the field? Oof, front wing damage for the reigning champion. Slows the pit stop down, gets out now. Well, they've put him in the order. He's going to have to make another pit stop, you'd imagine. He comes out very close to the McLaren and the Mercedes battling. Ooh! Canteon retired from the session, made quite a few mistakes. John Polainen also deciding to end his race early. A 3-second time penalty for Nezaran in the Haas after multiple warnings. Combi made sure then he was getting past the Mercedes. Does not want to be stuck behind as he's on a faster tyre, fresher tyres, different strategy. Needs to make the most of these fresh tyres. Now Vicstar seems to be catching up to Slimbo. Whether he's just saved more of the time at the start of this stint. He's got it down to within 4 seconds at the moment as the Indian Ferrari driver. But as we approach lap 10, it is still Slimbo in the lead. Quite comfortable in the Force India. His teammate retired early on, of course, so the only chance for the team to get the full 25 points will be from Slimbo. 43 the most one team can get for a weekend with 1-2. Something Mercedes have become quite familiar with throughout the season. But Vicstar definitely seems to be the man lighting up the timing screens at the moment. Just 2.8 seconds now behind the Ferrari. We have a yellow flag and Combi's retired. The reigning champion is out of the race early on. Didn't have the ideal start. Was involved, of course, with a battle with Tough to Handle after leaving the pace, and that's another time penalty for a driver. Pedro now receiving a 3-second penalty. What is your opinion on the penalty systems used behind various racing games? Gran Turismo Sport has decided to revamp its system. Slimbo in the pits, race leader in the pits, Mehmet behind in as well in 3rd place. Very quick, slick stop by the Force India. Soft tyres, will we see him go to the end on these? I have to say, didn't seem to be doing as well saving his tyres as Vicstar. Did have had a lot more place, but clear air is the important thing. And oh, one of the Reynolds, All-11, has retired. Quite a few cars dropping out here in the early stages as the tyres are wearing. Are they just making mistakes? Who knows? Unfortunately not able to see what the cause of the retirement was. But Slimbo, quite a lot of clear air as we watch Schnitzel now. 4th place. Staying out as long as possible on these super soft tyres. Well, being outside the top 10 gives you this possibility. We've seen it used quite a lot this season by teams in the real Formula 1 world. Renault tactically missing out on second qualifying yesterday in Sochi in order to maintain 11th and 12th on the grid. Didn't quite work out for them. But this is something teams have to think about now, with the faster tyres that are needed in qualifying degrading so quickly. Is it worth the pole position anymore? Is qualifying high? Oh, Flandy Thompson. 5 second stop-go penalty for the McLaren. Speeding in the pit lane. As it's a 5 second stop-go, you will have to serve that later on in the race. You can't just wait for 5 seconds to be added onto his time. You will have to pit again. No work will be allowed to be done on that car. That could be very, very costly. 5 seconds, 5 second stop go at the moment, sorry. Could possibly bring it out all the way down in 12th position. Advanced Apple, one of the drivers we mentioned earlier, has fought his way up to 2nd place, keeping the super softs lasting for 10 laps. But what a job Vicstar has done so far. It seems to have made these tyres last far longer than any of his rivals. Is it possible he can do a one stop from ultra soft to super soft? Another 3 second penalty there for Hipari Light. Quite a few drivers racking up penalties for track limits. Could be quite a recurring feature throughout the season, especially on modern tracks with the AstroTurf and tarmac runoff areas. And we were talking about how well Vicstar was saving his tyres. He is in the pits now. The race leader has pitted, has gone to the super softs and is away. Where will this put him? Will he be ahead of Slimbo Dude in the Force India when he comes out? No. That seems to have grown quite a lot, so you've got to say, was it worth staying out that extra bit of time? But he is on the faster tyres. But the main question is, can he make them last to the end of the race now? Can't see him winning this, going for a 2-stop strategy, so he's going to have to pass Slimbo Dude on track, you must feel. In a low earth mode, and perhaps building up his energy and saving the tyres, of course. One of the great features, lowering the airs will reduce the amount of power going through the wheels. The easy way to conserve your tyres, especially when you're trying to make a one-stop strategy work. But out in front it is Advanced Apple and Schnitzel separated by less than a second, but the real battle for the lead is here. Can Vicstar catch up? The 5 second gap he has now to Slimbo Dude. Another 3 second time penalty for Joe Breezy. Currently down in last place in the Sauber. Schnitzel is in. Joe's teammate has pitted, promoting Slimbo and Vicstar to 2nd and 3rd. One of the rules in Formula 1, of course, with tyres is you have to use 2 different compounds. It would not just be possible, for example, for Advanced Apple to pit and remain on the super softs. He must change to either the ultras or most likely the softs. At this point, Xavier, another driver pitting now. Most of the drivers have pitted now. It's only our race leader who has done a good job on them super soft tyres. And throughout the race, he was down in outside the top 10 in qualifying. Got into the top 10 quite early, has worked his way up through the field, partly due to pit stops, partly just through to great driving. Likely he'll come out 8th or 9th position after his pit stop. But we'll be on fresher tyres in the rest, so it could be one to watch throughout the race. But Vicstar is pushing the tyres as hard as he can now to try and gain the victory. Going on board. See high airs mode there, trying to get as much as possible out of the battery. Won't be able to stay there for longer, and we see fastest lap of the race, 1:24.2. around what we were expecting. We were expecting the top tier from earlier to do 122s, 123s during their race pace. And Verstappen has now pitted, but all the drivers have been into the pits. And the lead at the moment, Slimbo Dude in the lead, Big Star behind, and Mamat in the third position as we approach the halfway point of the first race in F4 AOR Season 16. Closest battle of the field seems to be further back at the moment, 9th and 10th, Pedro and Hitari, with Joe Greasy just behind. Oh! 3-second penalty for Big Star. We saw him run wide there. That could be costly at the end of the race. On board now with Pedro. 10th position. A battle for the final point. Hitari ahead. Joe Greasy